Okay, picture this for a second. You're standing completely alone. Maybe it's this huge, empty landscape, really quiet. Or maybe somewhere that feels weirdly familiar, but you know you've never actually been there. The silence is just huge. Maybe all you hear is the wind, and you feel totally isolated.
It's such a strong image, isn't it? And so many people experience this in dreams. It really hooks into something fundamental about being human, that deep-seated fear of being lonely, our need for connection to be, accepted.
Absolutely. But what's fascinating from the sources we looked at is that this dream isn't just about fear. There's this interesting paradox. So, for this deep dive, we're exploring what these dreams of being alone really tell us, based on your source material, not just about needing others, but maybe more importantly, about our relationship with our own selves.
Right, exactly. Because the central idea that keeps coming up in the material is that dreaming you're alone, strangely enough, often shines a light on our connections, or maybe the quality of those connections. And, crucially, how self-acceptance fits in. We're social animals, fundamentally. We're wired to want to belong, to be part of the group. The dream definitely plays on that.
But it sort of flips it too, yeah. The sources seem to say it's just as much about needing to accept yourself.
Precisely. That's a key insight from the material. How can you really form strong, lasting bonds with other people if you're not solid with who you are first? Self-acceptance is presented as the absolute foundation.
That makes sense. If you're not comfortable in your own skin, you're always sort of performing for others.
And these dreams can feel so real, almost visceral, because they often echo actual feelings we have when we're awake. Like, think about starting a new job or trying to fit into a new group, maybe moving somewhere new. You get those moments of feeling outside it all.
Oh, yeah, totally familiar.
So the dream of being alone might just be your subconscious holding up a mirror to that feeling. But the sources suggest it's doing more than just reflecting. It's like a prompt. It's pushing you to look inward. Instead of just focusing on feeling cut off from others, it's maybe asking you to connect with yourself, to embrace what makes you unique.
So it's not just showing you the fear, it might be showing you where the strength to deal with it comes from.
Exactly. And that's why the actual feeling you have in the dream, that's maybe the most critical piece for figuring out the message. There's a whole spectrum, really.
Yeah. I can imagine it feeling just terrifying, like pure isolation.
And the sources spent a good amount of time on that side of it. Fear, anxiety, that feeling of distress in the dream, that can definitely point to underlying stuff like fears of being abandoned or just general loneliness, maybe feeling inadequate. It can be a
Yeah.
direct echo of anxieties you have in real life about being isolated. The interpretation there is often that your subconscious is saying, hey, you need to deal with these insecurities, or maybe pay more attention to your relationships. It's like a flag.
Okay, so that's one possibility. But what if it feels different, like peaceful, or even, I don't know, empowering?
Well, that points to a completely different message, according to the sources. Peace, feeling content, even liberated while alone in the dream that often suggests you're ready for some kind of significant personal change. Your subconscious might be signaling you're gearing up for a new chapter, or maybe just that you really, really need some downtime, some rest and rejuvenation. So, solitude isn't the enemy here. It's presented more like a sanctuary, a necessary space.
A sanctuary for yourself.
Exactly. And if you feel empowered when you're alone in the dream, the sources really highlight that. It's seen as a strong sign of self-sufficiency, confidence, like you really believe in your own abilities. This isn't just being okay with being alone, it's like you're thriving in it.
Yeah.
It suggests a healthy relationship with solitude, seeing it as a chance for growth and reflection. It shows maturity, strength from independence.
Wow. So the same basic image, being alone, can have almost opposite meanings depending on how it feels.
It really shows how flexible dream symbols can be. And the sources go even deeper, looking at the context around the solitude. Like, your emotional state in the dream can directly map onto waking life, feelings of, say, being emotionally isolated or finding it hard to connect.
Like feeling misunderstood even when you're surrounded by people.
Yes, precisely that.
Yeah.
But if the feeling in the dream is calm, maybe even serene, that could suggest you're actually quite comfortable with your own company. Maybe you're processing a need for more personal space or just embracing being independent for a bit. On the flip side, that intense fear of abandonment or rejection we talked about, that could definitely surface in these dreams, especially if you're feeling vulnerable in your waking life at that time.
Right. What other ways do the sources break down these different flavors of being alone?
Well, they often connect it to your inner state and personal growth. Dreaming of being alone can signal a strong pull towards independence, or maybe a really critical need for self-reflection. It could be your subconscious saying, hey, you need time to think, to recharge, maybe reassess where you're going.
Yeah.
Particularly relevant when you're facing big decisions, perhaps.
Like your inner compass telling you to pull over and check the map for a minute.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
Mm.
The sources interpret this as your subconscious kind of nudging you to explore your inner world, figure out what you truly want, find your purpose, or just work on being your most authentic self. They also mention it might be a sign that you need to face some inner conflicts or unresolved issues to find better emotional balance.
Okay. What about freedom? Can being alone represent feeling liberated?
Well, absolutely. Being alone in a dream can be a really potent symbol of freedom. Freedom from burdens, from outside pressures, maybe even breaking free from difficult relationships. If you feel a sense of release or lightness in the dream, it suggests you might be ready to shed something and reclaim your own power, your autonomy. It can also tie into navigating big life transitions, moving house, starting a new career path.
Adapting to something new kind of on your own terms.
Exactly that. It's about that period of adjustment, learning to handle change, building that self-reliance. And interestingly, the sources even touch on a spiritual angle. Being alone, especially in a peaceful, natural setting, think forest, mountain might represent a personal spiritual journey. A call for meditation, maybe seeking a deeper connection, or just needing to listen more closely to your intuition.
So it's this incredibly layered symbol. It can mean anything from deep fear to profound freedom or even a spiritual quest.
It really does highlight how complex our inner lives are. And the sources suggest these dreams aren't just about the now or the past. They might actually offer some interesting hints about what's coming up, particularly around personal growth and life changes.
Like predictive dreams.
Less like predicting the lottery numbers, more like showing you the landscape for paths ahead. The solitude itself can symbolize an upcoming chance for some serious self-reflection. It's almost like the dream is getting you ready, suggesting you might be close to making important choices or starting something new where you'll need to rely on yourself more.
And does the where matter? Like being alone in a busy city versus out in the woods. Do the sources connect settings to meanings?
Yes, definitely. The sources draw connections there. A peaceful forest, for example, might hint at an upcoming period focused on inner peace and sort of natural, quiet growth, like the cycles of nature itself. Being alone in a bustling city could imply that future opportunities, maybe career-related or social or just navigating complex situations, are on the horizon. Reflecting that city energy, a long, winding road. That might symbolize a journey ahead needing careful thought, decisions about your direction. And a mountaintop often linked to achieving something, overcoming a challenge, or maybe that spiritual search for a higher perspective.
Okay, so the dream is kind of giving you a heads up about the type of journey, internal or external, that might be starting.
It's like leaving these symbolic clues, urging you to just be aware, pay attention to the changes and opportunities opening up, both inside you and in your life circumstances.
It's amazing to think a dream about being alone can have so many layers, even pointing towards future possibilities. And speaking of connections, there was this one phrase in the sources that really jumped out. It seems almost contradictory, pulling the solitude theme right back to other people.
I think I know the one you mean. That really vivid metaphor. Aim to make your funeral standing room only.
Wow. Yeah. Standing room only at your funeral. That's quite an image.
It is, isn't it? And the sources use that, I think, precisely because even though the dream focuses on solitude, this metaphor powerfully highlights the absolute necessity of building deep, real connections in your waking life.
So the dream about being alone almost acts as a stark reminder of how important it is not to be alone in the end.
Exactly. Imagine your funeral packed with people who genuinely cared about you, who cherished you. That's framed as a potent motivation. It pushes you to invest in relationships now, to make a positive difference, to live in a way that builds those strong bonds. It's a dramatic way of saying that a huge part of your life's meaning comes from the connections you forge and the impact you have on others.
That totally shifts the perspective on the solitude dream. It's not just about your inner world and isolation. It's about how that inner work equips you for and influences your connections out in the real world.
Which leads us right to the practical side. Okay, you have these dreams. What can you actually do with these insights? How do you use them?
Right. Understanding is one thing, acting on it is another.
Exactly. And the sources offer some solid practical strategies. First up, journaling. Just writing down the dream, the details, the feelings, the setting, any thoughts you have right when you wake up is really helpful. The act of writing itself can help you see deeper meanings, maybe spot patterns over time. Plus, it's just a good therapeutic way to process whatever emotions the dream brought up.
Kind of like getting the subconscious message down on paper where you can look at it.
Precisely.
Right.
Second, things like mindfulness or meditation. These practices help you build self-awareness, stay present. The sources suggest that regularly doing this can make you more comfortable just being with yourself in your own head. It helps you learn to face those fears or anxieties the dream might be highlighting and gradually turn them into sources of strength. It helps build that healthy relationship with solitude the dream might be nudging you towards.
Learning to be okay in that inner sanctuary you mentioned.
hmm And finally, the sources suggest actively seeking out new experiences, pushing your comfort zone a bit, maybe traveling somewhere new, learning a skill, even just making an effort to meet different kinds of people. This gives you fresh perspectives. It's a way to take the dream's lessons about independence or self-reliance or embracing change and actually integrate them into your everyday life. It helps turn the quiet introspection from the dream into real-world positive action.
So you take the insights gained in solitude and use them to fuel more engagement with the world around you.
That's the idea. Translating that symbolic dream language into concrete steps for growth and ultimately richer connections in your waking life.
Before we wrap up, there was this one little detail from a comment in the source material that I thought really captured this sort of mystery, but also the shared nature of these dreams.
Was it the one about feeling a presence?
Yes. Someone described how they kept dreaming they were alone, often in the same vivid place, familiar feeling, but unknown, right?
Uh,
But they always felt like someone else was there, a presence, people nearby, just unseen.
yeah, that detail resonates because it touches on that paradox we started with. Even in what feels like total solitude within the dream, the subconscious still seems to hold this awareness of others, that potential for connection, even if it's just off-screen, so to speak. It adds another layer of intrigue.
It really does. It shows how personal these dreams are, yet they tap into something universal about being human.
So looking back at this whole deep dive into the sources, it's really clear that dreams about being alone are, well, they're not simple at all. They're complex. They've got many facets. They can reflect everything from our deepest anxieties about isolation to really significant opportunities for self-discovery and growth.
Yeah, at their core, they often seem like this powerful invitation to look inward, to really see and accept who you are.
And the sources keep bringing it back to that crucial link. Genuinely accepting yourself is the bedrock for building those deep, meaningful, standing room only kind of connections with other people. The dream of solitude, ironically, ends up being a message about how interconnected your inner self and your outer world really are.
It's a powerful message, delivered in such a quiet, personal way, it makes you think. If being alone in a dream can unlock so much about your deepest self, your hidden fears, maybe even hint at future paths, what other quiet moments, those times you choose to be alone in your waking life, what untapped insights might they hold, just waiting for you to explore?